They say don't ever judge a book by its cover. Why don't I never listen? Hello everyone, welcome to Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about The Wilder Girls by Rory. I mean, there's no beating around the bushes. This is some of the best cover I have ever seen in my life. This is absolutely stunning. I first encountered this book through a YouTube recommendation, and judging the cover, there's no way I will not buy it. I so wanted this book to succeed just because of the cover. I want the story to be powerful enough to actually do justifications to this cover. Whether or not it succeeded in doing that, let's find out in the later parts of the video. Rory was an English major. She studied creative prose from University of East Anglia. This is her debut novel, and in many aspects it really does show. The story centers around a particular boarding school for girls. This school is located in a very isolated area. In fact, is located on an island. What happened in the story is that there is a weird disease that's been spreading around on this particular island, and as a result of that, the school students were affected. Teachers started to die one by one, and those who survived were left with life-changing alterations to their appearance. They were told by the outside authority to basically stay calm and carry on. That the authorities, the scientists outside, are actively seeking to produce a cure to finally liberate those kids. In the meantime, they have to just stay there and do the best they can to survive. That the Navy will supply them with food and every other essentials on a daily basis. The story centers around three main protagonists: Hetty, Byatt, and Reese. Those three are good friends. The story started with quotidian things around what their life looks like under the, lack of better words, lockdown on this particular island. Nothing really exciting. In the first few parts of the chapters, we're told what life is like and what the girls' duty were like. For most girls, life was pretty boring because the teachers' number has been greatly depleted. There's not enough of them to actually carry out with classrooms. So the girls were left to their own devices. They were either practicing shooting, or they were just running around in the school ground or reading in their own free time. There wasn't much to do. That is not the same for Hetty and her friends, however. Hetty was one of those, what they call the gun shift member. Her duty involved in hiding on one of the higher grounds on the roof of a school and pointing her gun or rifle at the front entrance. Now, by the way, the school has been fenced off because of this strange disease that not only affect those in school, it also affect the larger ecological environment. So all the animals and plants were also infected by this disease. Now, the animals start to behave not like normal animals. So for instance, a deer would eat another dead deer's flesh, lose the ability to feel pain. So it made those animals particularly dangerous. Now the fence helps, but the gun shift is there to stop them even reaching the fence in the first place. So Hetty, in the beginning, we were told, were quite a good shot. What's even more glamorous than the gun shift girls is what they call the boat shift. The boat shift basically involved in girls venture outside the school ground, outside this fence, into this dangerous jungle of an island in order to pick up the supply that the Navy sent them on a daily basis. Now the supply includes essentials and medicines and food and drinks, etc., etc. So their jobs are particularly important, in fact essential, but also quite dangerous because of the predators and other weird things involved in the island. And because of this, it became rather glamorous. And Hetty's friend Reese really wanted to do this job for her own personal reason, because you'll read it to find out. But anyway, instead of Reese getting the job, Hetty unexpectedly received this job. This promotion puts a rather tight strain on their friendship, but they worked it out in the end. There are genuine tense and creepy moments when she first ventured into the jungle. Really well written, fantastic, really, really intense. It really makes your heart pumping. The same sort of intensity repeated itself in her second outing with her friend Reese. It was even more intense, even more action-packed. On her first maiden trip to the jungle to pick up supplies, she realized that her team leader deliberately thrown away many of the supplies, and the school kids back in school were really starving. They were having just about enough food to survive, but certainly not enough to flourish. So everyone was pretty much hungry all the time. Hetty was finding the behavior of throwing food away into the ocean by her team leader and her teammates really rather puzzling and infuriating. She found out the reason for doing so because her team leader told her that the CDC deliberately played around with some of the food in the hope to see what this altered food has an effect on those affected pupils. Now, this is glaring plot hole number one, but let's ignore that for a moment and move on to the story. The team leader threw lots and lots of food into the sea because they were tampered with by the CDC and the Navy. And as a result of that, they can only bring out a very limited amount of food back to school. What's even more alarming was the fact that none of the school students knew what was happening. They didn't know that many food were actually thrown into the sea. Her friend, Byatt, her disease started to deteriorate, and they took her to the school nursery or school infirmary. Hetty, in the hope of finding her friend, realized that she actually was kidnapped and missing. Together with her other friend, Reese, they searched the island, they searched the school, and discovered some big conspiracy. During their second outings into the jungle, they met some really creepy predators and failed to find their friend. They came back to school, and at that time, Hetty made a pretty big mistake. She left the fence of the school open. As a result of that, the bear, one of the predatory bear, came into the school. The description of that bear was very, very well done. That half of its face was fleshless, and you can see the bones. The other half of the bear's face was normal. The bear came into the school and started destroying the door and get into school and start eating many kids. And as a result, they barely escaped. Some kids died as a result, but the vast majority moved to a different part of school and barricaded the door, but it was only a matter of time. Hetty and Reese managed to escape, and the story was left there. The ending of the story was left deliberately ambiguous as to what happened next. Many of the negative review derives from that particular cliffhanger. The book had great potential, and it's a shame that it turned out the way it is. It simply has too many plot holes. For instance, why would CDC and the Navy temper their food? When a situation like this happens in real life, surely the health authority will be on the island rather than behaving like some sort of dark mafia underworld organization who kidnapping kids so that they can experiment on them to find a cure. I mean, that's ridiculous. In real life, CDC and the Navy and any sort of health organization worth their salt will be camping on the island, established a focal point where all the kids will be tested. There is no need for clandestine operations. Why would they kidnap kids in order to experiment? I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, and this is the biggest plot hole. And to be honest, this plot hole is so large enough to swallow the book whole. And therefore, the book shouldn't exist with a plot hole like this. This is just simply ridiculous. As a reader, when you read this part and when you realize what happened, when you glaring into this black hole of ridiculousness, you realize that you lost all sense of realism of the book. You lost all trust of this book. The other plot hole or inconsistency is that towards the end of the novel, because Hetty left the door open, as a result of which the bear rampaged into the school, she felt guilty. And yet, when she escaped with her friend Reese, she did not even think once about rescuing her fellow students, those girls who are being eaten by the bear as we speak or as she escaped, she did not come across her mind to go back and take some of those students with her. The same student she felt so guilty towards mere 5 minutes ago. This inconsistency once more makes Hetty feel unreal, like to the paper-thin creation of a debut writer. Talking about the character is that although most of them, even the girls on the peripheral, has certain depth, which is something that can be really congratulated to the author. As a reader, they don't somehow interact with each other in a realistic way to make you think or care about those protagonists. I mean, that's certainly my understanding. I don't feel a connection to any of them at all. Although there has been some sort of love story thrown in, it wasn't developed fully. It was left to the side. I think the concept was fantastic, that it based in a school. The best school novel I have ever read has always been Harry Potter series, and in particular Chamber of Secrets, where I truly felt frightened in a sweet way because of this collective fear the student felt, something secret that's stalking in these dark corridors of Hogwarts. I wanted to feel that same sense of sweet fear here. I don't feel that. There's no collective fear. There's no cohesion to link all the girls together. They all felt like individual. They don't feel like together. Whereas in Harry Potter, everyone was linked together, even the bad guys. They all feel the impact of this secret monster lurking somewhere unknown in the school. Here, I don't feel it. I don't feel that fear. Neither do any of the characters. And I think, again, that's an opportunity missed. I think it could really turn up the creepiness dial to make it more interesting. And perhaps more importantly, the disease was never really fully explained. We were told as a reader, the first page of the novel tells you that the disease happened a few months ago. As a reader, I don't know what caused it. Every teacher and student has unique symptoms. None of them are the same. And yet, because of this uniqueness in every individual, it does not give me a precise point to pinpoint what this disease is. I don't know what the characteristics of disease is because everyone has a bloody different symptom. It disperses what's supposed to be quite frightening. It's so generalized to every person. It misses the point completely. I don't know what the disease is all about at all. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what the symptom, except that everyone is different. It's terrible. And in the end, spoiler guys, the reason for the disease to exist, the host, the cause of the disease is a worm, a big 6-inch long worm. I mean, come on, talking about lazy writing. You telling me CDC cannot remove a worm from a student 6 inches long, and they were experimenting with tempered food, trying to find the cause. They can scan the bloody girls. They can put them in an X-ray machine and immediately find out that there's a worm. There's no mystery about it. All you need is vermifuge. Yet the whole thing was revolved on the premise of the authority not being able to find a cure. The whole thing unravels completely when you start towards the end, and you're just scratching your head and thinking, the editors surely will need to say something. How was this book even published in the first place? Right, after all the rant, I will give this book 2 stars. Now, the reason I didn't give it 1 star is because 1 star is really reserved exclusively to the truly, truly awfuls, like The Alligator by Charlie Katz, or the boy with the striped pajama. Now, this is controversial because many of you like The Boy in the Striped Pajama, but to my mind, it's the worst book ever written. It's terrible. But anyway, that's a different subject. So that is why this book receives 2 stars rather than 1. Overall, the writing is well written. The proses are nothing special, but does the job nevertheless. Overall, I think it's a very good written book. It's just the plot lines and the lack of sophistications and the ridiculousness of the ending and the cause of the disease really let it down. I really do think could have been a fantastic book. The concept was amazing. And as I said in the beginning of the book, I really wanted this book to do well, to do justice to its cover. Unfortunately, it failed in this regard. Would I still judge a book by its cover in the future? Probably, I do. I mean, especially modern days, those marketing materials, those art designs and the cover are so sophisticated and so beautiful and so artful. You can't help but to judge a book by its cover. I'm sure I will repeat the same mistake again and again in the future. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please give it a thumb up and subscribe. It does help me with the YouTube algorithm. And before I go, I do have to let you know that I have a travel channel called Global Hopper. So if you're interested, please check it out. I'll put the link in the description down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, cheerio.